And we are back. Go fucking figure. When we spend a week watching movies, we don't record an episode. Uh,
I'd rather actually have new material than just be completely creatively bankrupt. So I'm not gonna
yeah.
say anything about that.
Welcome back to Nifilmism. I am Ryan.
I'm Drew.
And last week we saw two movies of the three we planned on, and then an ice storm kind of threw a wrench in that plan. But we saw Ready Player One, and we saw A Quiet Place. So we're gonna talk about one of those. Drew,
Let's
which
do
one?
Ready Player One because we saw that.
Oh,
It's older, and I bet we
chronologically.
don't have to spend too much
Okay,
time on it.
sure. Ready Player One, it is. Go.
Super formulaic, classic Spielberg. I was really worried that when Ben Mendelsohn took out a Glock and started walking through a crowd, we were going to get a redux of the scene in War of the Worlds. It was just super unsettling.
But that would have been better.
Yeah, I think setting wise, if you've read the crappy book, which I have, it might have made more sense. But it was going for more wholesome Spielberg. So yeah, I don't know. It the book didn't have fangs, and the movie definitely didn't have any teeth. Really, it
But
just it I thought it was a pretty simple narrative. It did a good job of truncating what needed to be truncated out of the god awful like long book in certain aspects. But I didn't feel there were any stakes for any of the characters, so it just kind of felt hollow to me.
well, here's a question then. Why did they even bother going for the PG-13 rating? To get
This
one.
gets into what we were talking about immediately after leaving, and that is who the hell is the actual like audience for this? Is it people like us? Because if so, why did you defang the narrative?
Well, you'd have to assume so. I mean, some of these references are for people maybe even a little older than us. I was born in '84. There's a lot of Buckaroo Banzai references in there, and that
Yeah,
came out in '84.
yeah.
So
It's a lot of stuff that
yeah.
we would have found when we were in like college.
Or when we were kids, maybe it was
Yeah.
on TV. That being said, it for anyone really any younger than us, being in our early 30s, it
It's weird because it's a lot of the all the movie references are basically the most dated aspect of the movie, and then there's just modern video game stuff, which doesn't jar anything because it's set in like 2040 something.
but on the flip side of that, yeah, who's the audience? Because the tone of the movie, like I was just alluding to, you could have definitely dialed this back one more notch, not really lost anything, and made this a PG movie.
Oh yeah, easily.
I mean,
You could have.
can we just say spoilers? Because
Oh yeah, for
we're
sure.
gonna get into that
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. So, spoiler to the spoilers though is that you're not really missing much if you don't go and see it. So
No,
feel
no,
free to
no,
keep
no.
listening.
It's one of those. It's one of those. If you happened on the book because of just the hype behind it when it first came out, or like in my case, it was like $4 on Amazon, and I was like, hey, I have a Kindle. I might as well actually read on it once. It's it's what it's what it looks like. The joke is everybody calling it Reddit Player One. It's literally that. It just references stuffed in to a narrative that's basically a slightly more mature Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I can see that. And backtracking a little, the rating, it did get one scene in that I don't think could have made it into a PG movie, and that was the highlight of the movie, which was the Shining
Yeah, the
sequence.
Shining sequence was, and then it just got stupid zombies, and it left the Shining. It was like you have the Overlook Hotel for one cool like CGI sequence, which this movie's just all CGI sequences. There's probably like
We'll get back to
10 minutes of actual
That's
acting in it.
the part though where they get through the scene at with the Shining, and then the corporation that's chasing them. We'll get to the plot in a minute, but the corporation that's chasing them sends a bunch of people in to try to replicate their success, and you see the actual people in
Yeah,
VR in this huge office space, and it's great because that scene reminded me a lot of Cabin in the Woods. Just the feel of that scene.
Oh,
But beyond that, though, other than the highlight of the movie, which honestly doesn't make the movie on its own, it was. I'll let you
no, it's
do
it's
the
it's
plot.
it's it's one of those things that you see stuff in a trailer that gets you like, oh, I want to see this thing I like in a big screen format, and then it just like, oh, okay, because like I like Gundam a lot, and the Gundams, and that's the first Western appearance in cinema of the Gundam, and I don't care. because this movie is just blah. It's just you.
Oh,
It's
Gundam
just
versus Mechagodzilla.
yeah, and
Which,
I just wanted him to use the beam rifle, which that's just me being a nerd. But I'm
if
like
you
cool. Like in the book they all have a robot,
if
and it
you
was kind of cool. But like I don't know, it's
it,
just
if you write fan fiction and you decided to write a Gundam versus Mechagodzilla fan fiction, good on you. But it doesn't have any place in a Spielberg movie.
I don't know though, because Spielberg's literally just been dragging his own name through the gutter for the last decade. I would say.
Would you care to just sum up the plot?
It's literally Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's an online VR world that everybody has basically free access to. That the creator dies and then basically says any stake that like I have in this is going to be up for grabs for whoever can find these items. And it basically is like a post-mortem. I'm awesome, so you should all like everything I like.
Which makes sense in the movie because this
Yeah,
is
but
what
then
the
you
guy was
realize
obsessed with.
it's super narcissistic to be like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, all the things I grew up liking are the best things. So make sure you know all the best things.
which gets to a really weird. There's some anachronism. Wow, I can talk.
Anachronisms.
I'm pulling a full-on Rich Evans here. Anachronisms, like some of the people's avatars are things like Spawn, which doesn't really jive all that well with the rest of what this guy really liked.
Well, no, I think that's fine because this is another one of those you don't waste time on tedious world building because the whole idea is in the book. Just like when we were in like high school, remember how like girls were wearing bell bottoms and stuff again?
Yeah.
Like it's a resurgence
So
in
the
the
Black
book
Crows.
in the book universe in like the 2040s. There's a resurgence of 80s pop culture is cool again. So that kind of shoehorned in with the fact that the creator of the Oasis was like a child of the 80s makes it that much more like you notice like even just the people in the few scenes you get of the real world don't really wear like what you would think
Future people.
fashion in 20 years, which I kind of like that it's a much more believable future in the real world setting where it's like it's much more the opposite of what you'd see in Total Recall, where everything is just completely different than what you know. Everything's more electric and all that. It's like, no, they still use like gas vehicles. They're just a little bit different than you would imagine a gas car looks like. Or the stacks are one of the cool things in the movie. Just the idea of like, oh, there's overcrowding population. Just stack motorhomes on like a really shitty lattice. Yeah.
I didn't read the book. You did. So maybe you can answer this question. Every single avatar that I noticed in this movie for all these people are things that were from present day and back. You would think that there's some sort of pop culture still being made in these 20 years.
No, in the book, that's an entire blind spot. Is there's really nothing that's presented to you as something new.
Yeah, make up something. Make up a fictional character that maybe somebody really likes.
Or even like this happens to the main character in the book. It doesn't necessarily happen in the movie, but like you become a cult figure by being on the scoreboard, so people would start to like copy stuff that you have. Or like celebrity is different in the world of the Oasis in this movie. I mean, in this setting, in the book, like in the book, he doesn't just, and it works more in the movie where it's like he gets the first key and he gets a ton of money.
Okay.
Whereas in the book, it's like you get the first key and then you're on the scoreboard, and then people want to sponsor you and like want to give you like haptic gear. Like we want you to be like the face of like the Oasis face of like selling our haptic gloves, so you get like paid that way. Or like in the future, because he's so popular in the Oasis, you run a Twitch channel, so you run your favorite shows on your Twitch channel and you make money based on people subbing to your channel to watch like, hey, at like 8:00 RoboCop's gonna be on, and then at like 10:30 like A Clockwork Orange will be on. Like you make money based on your persona in the Oasis, which I think the movie kind of had a little bit of with like there's a one little like vignette of like a Japanese guy losing in a peer-to-peer zone and almost trying to jump out a window.
Yeah.
But that's like the only like it's serious in here. Like you get a little bit of like, oh, his aunt's boyfriend like hits him because he died in PvP and lost all of his money. But it's like you don't get enough of the aspect that no, whatever you have in the Oasis is all you probably have in the real world too. Like your fictional currency is probably what buys you your food in that world, and that's more present in the book where it's a little bit more sinister than in the movie. Which, like I said, because it's PG-13 and we don't know what the audience is, it's a little bit more toothless.
That might be my number one complaint about this movie is that you've got all of these references for somebody who you've got to be at least 30 to get most of these references. Yeah. But the tone of the movie is not aimed at anyone even remotely close to 30. It's something that's aimed for what, 15, 16-year-olds at most?
The message is the message of, like the grand message at the end of the Oasis is awesome, but you can't get a good meal here.
Okay.
And that's so aimed at kids. It's so aimed at kids.
Right, because by the time that you're 30 and just nose to the grindstone at your job and have real responsibilities, then you've got real world engagement. If a 15-year-old wants to have some fun online, whatever.
Yeah.
I played video games as a kid.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's one of these you want to show it to these, like, what are they, Gen Ys now? I don't even know. But you want to show it to them, but like it glorifies what they want to be. Like, we want to be YouTubers and all that. And it's like, yeah, but that's hard.
As we put this on YouTube.
Yeah, but we're not trying to no. Yes, if that would be cool. But I mean, like we see this as an outlet. It's not necessarily like kids think it's a job that you're gonna just, I'm gonna play Minecraft and be famous. It's like, that's not how it works. You have to be engaging. You have to have you have to have the grind. You have to be grinding in media creation. It's a job. It is a job. Do you think people want to play a game on Twitch at like 1 p.m. till like 9:30 at night?
No.
Professional gamers. It's not fun.
Professional gamers are on. I mean, drugs are huge. Is it Adderall that most of them use? Or?
Probably. They keep weird hours because you're up when people are out of work so that they can sub and pay and things like that.
By the time most of them are 25, they've burned out and moved on to actual careers. So, not that anybody in this age range is actually listening to this, but
yeah, to get back on topic, sorry. The weirdness of only people our age are going to get the references,
but it's not aimed at us.
At the same time, it's a very after-school special message.
Did you hate it, or were you indifferent?
Indifferent.
Okay.
It's a very much a. I wanted to see it just because I wanted to see what if there was anything of merit in a new Spielberg movie.
You never know,
and because I read the book and I'm like I want to see how they're going to adapt it because it's a slog in certain parts. There's a scene early on in the movie that like reminded me of the book and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. We're going to get just nonstop stupid references. Look at what I know.
Oh, the scene where he's trying to impress the girl.
Yeah, where he's trying to impress her in the garage. And that's how the book reads almost entirely the whole way. It's just descript. There are chapters that it seems like you're describing like the cool shit that the character has on their avatar, as opposed to them doing anything. But it's a competent adaptation of a overhyped book, but that doesn't make it worth anything. That's my summation of the whole movie.
Okay, having not read the book, I'm trying to just approach it from the angle of on its own merits as a movie, and I'm somewhere between indifferent.
It's
and
entertaining.
dislike.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's entertaining. It doesn't. I don't think it insults you, but it's what I'd be getting. It's what I'm worried that Marvel's gonna turn into. The more it comes out, it's just you can just go and see a story and.
Well, the more I thought about it. At first, I thought, oh, at least the main character had some sort of a semblance of a character arc, unlike some Marvel movies. But the more I thought about it, he really doesn't. He's your typical, oh, I'm doing this because I'm just trying to get out. I want to be famous. Meets a girl, likes a girl. The girl actually has personal stakes because her dad was killed by this corporation. But at the end of the day, he was doing this more to impress the girl. Even after
it's very shallow when you actually break it down.
Even after his stack and his aunt dies.
Yeah. There's no.
I never once felt that he was doing this for anything other than I'm trying to impress this girl, and it became a very Steven Spielberg nerdy guy trying to get the girl. It was a not quite as obnoxious Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, that's actually pretty apt. Yeah, because Scott Pilgrim at least is in your face about it. But the thing is, I would say Scott Pilgrim's a better character because you recognize his character flaws, whereas in this movie, Wade Watts is just
he's
literally
not a character.
Mary Sue.
Yeah. He doesn't have any character flaws because he's not a character.
He knows pop culture stuff.
He's a two-dimensional sprite of a character.
Yeah.
Which
it's passable. It's passable, and in that sense, it's also passable. See what I did there?
I do.
Okay, enough on that. It's final. My final thoughts, like I said, it's if you had already predetermined you wanted to see it just to kill a night, go ahead, but don't expect to be wowed.
But you're gonna kill a whole night because it's really fucking long.
Yeah, it drags. The end.
16 minutes.
That's all that movie's worth, honestly.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Do we jump into the other one or do another episode?
I say we jump into the other one.
Awesome. Let's talk about A Quiet Place.
Okay.
Okay.
You can start because I started with the last one and
sure
did the heavy lifting on that.
Hey, Drew.
Yes.
Have you seen Tremors?
Yes, I've seen Tremors.
Would you like to see a version of Tremors not quite as well done, but mildly scarier? Not nearly
as funny.
Yeah.
And far more realistic in its frighteningness. Hey, Ryan, have you seen Signs? Do you want to see a non-shitty Signs?
You want to put these together?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we even get into it, I know it sounded like we're making fun of it. I did like the movie. I do think it was a little bit overhyped for everything that I had heard about it previously, but it's a solid B.
For me, I liked it because it's a. Would you say it's a thriller? It's not a horror movie.
It's a horror.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm not too versed in horror movies. I thought it was good, and then thankfully the latency bias kind of wore off, and I'm like, I enjoyed it. It's not something I'm gonna feel to see. I need to see again. We had a good crowd. I was really surprised based on what we saw going in that we had a good crowd.
Pretty good. The woman next to me, I don't know if you heard her the whole time.
No.
But she had smuggled in a box of Nerds or some other candy.
Oh, and you started crunching all the movie?
the industrial box. So you could hear her tilting the box. She was trying to be quiet.
You can't be quiet with Nerds.
There's no doing that quietly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't notice anything. Maybe I was just too engrossed. The movie it's engrossing. It's an engrossing movie, I thought. There are a lot of what you said were horror movie plot holes that we immediately saw as we were coming out. We're like, yeah, it was good, but this.
Before we get into the good stuff, again, we're going to get into spoilers on this one, so it doesn't really take away from it, but you've got creatures that are hunting people that everybody knows are... They hunt you by sound. Modern day police have sonic weapons that they use to disperse crowds.
And even on top of that, with the limited world building you get, before all the printing presses were stopped, they knew sound was the issue.
And no one thought to just
blast high frequency stuff that you can't hear. Yeah.
I don't get it. It's a huge plot hole. And just little stuff to nitpick stuff that... I only nitpick about
it's stuff that how meticulous the world they created it's stuff that in how meticulously they created the survivability of the family. The holes there make that hard to believe once you actually confront them.
Because they've taken into account all of these details. They've thought of everything ahead of time, including like the wife ends up getting pregnant, so they've got that's another story entirely. But they go to extreme lengths to make sure, okay, when this kid is born, how do we take care of this kid? Kids are going to naturally cry and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And they've thought of all of that. So in a movie that takes that much time, it spends that much has that much attention to detail, plot holes sort of jump out at you. On top of that, plot holes are only really a thing if the movie isn't paced well enough to make you ignore them.
Yeah.
Like there are some really shitty movies out there that move at a decent enough pace that you don't really have time.
Yeah, you skip over them because you're going too fast.
Yeah, it's like watching the show Gotham. There's some awful stuff in there, but it is so entertaining throughout that I just don't care. I like the show for its ridiculousness. This movie seemed to... It had some stumbling blocks.
Oh, yeah. I think it had some misuses, too. I mean, we only knew what we knew from trailers. We didn't look into anything other than, hey, that seems interesting. Let's go see it.
Right.
And then when you realize the daughter's deaf, you're like, this could get exceptionally good. if they
Yeah.
use this properly, and they didn't.
Well, you see it right at the beginning because the sound design in this is great.
That scene where they're in the drugstore and you hear just the ambient noise where it kind of gets you get used to just hearing ambient sound.
But
And
then they
then
switch to
whenever
the
they
daughter.
switch to her profile,
It's dead
everything's
silent.
I'm just like, I'm in. I'm totally in for where they're going with this, and it's underutilized.
This movie is entirely carried on how well made it is. It's a great concept that I think they weren't sure how to fully actualize.
And I think I'm wondering if there was studio meddling for the ending, because the ending makes the movie fall apart.
The ending.
Granted, you and I always want bad things to happen. Like, it's not that we want bad things to happen, but you build a setting. Yeah, you build a setting where certain things are not going to go well. And certain things don't go well in this movie, but enough goes well that it just still feels like a fist pump ending. And I'm just like, this movie tonally doesn't fit that.
To steal a line, it's if you look at Independence Day and the scene where the dog jumps away from the fire in the subway, that's an idiot's cheer moment.
Yes.
Yeah, this movie ends on an idiot's cheer. This
not
movie,
not a blatant.
Yes, it is. This movie ends on. This is something that I would have expected out of a sci-fi original. It ends with, okay, we've realized that we can possibly defeat these creatures, and the mom racks a shotgun slide.
Probably having 4 shells when you've seen clearly that these things are extremely fast and there's like 10 of them coming.
I just...
It felt like a Stephen King short story ending.
Yes. Almost like
it felt like I was reading like Skeleton Key or something.
Or a shittier version of the ending of Thinner.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
But no, it stumbles at the end, but I think throughout it builds well.
But they didn't even need to change the ending. They just needed to change the execution of the ending. The idea of, okay, we shot one with a shotgun, it's going to bring them in from all over the place, but we know how to defeat them now. You could just have a look between the mother and daughter or something and end it on there. Leave it a little bit more ambiguous. But like you said, the fist pump, she racks a shotgun slide. Come on.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Overall though, it's definitely enough of a curiosity that it's worth looking at.
Yeah, structurally too. Right in the very beginning, there were a couple of jump scares that even got me, and I was thinking, God damn it, this is going to be typical modern horror jump scare fest. But they tricked me. It was very well put together because those jump scares... They condition
you to expect that,
right?
And then they don't.
And then they pulled the rug out from under you. There's hardly a jump scare for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
It's actually a very well put together, tense movie. Like, you see a nail come up on a floorboard, you know that someone's going to step on it, and the whole time you're thinking, man, you just want to tell the characters, don't fucking step on the nail. And you can picture what's going to happen when they do step on the nail, and it's well done. It was tense. The father has an okay arc.
Yeah, it's like you said. It's the more you think back on it, the more you can poke holes in it, which is unfortunate because it's just stuff like things that were really well thought out, like the whole how you would have imagined that Krasinski probably sat down and thought like, okay, we're gonna do this based on sound, and then he's like, well, how are they gonna get around? And then you get the genius idea of you lay ash or sand everywhere that you walk on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of well thought out concepts in this, but again, just you
mark the floorboards to make sure that you step where there's going to be no creaking.
Yeah,
everything is well thought out except for the plot holes.
Yeah,
like this
and
this
the fact
creature...
that a family that lost a son.
Go ahead, do it.
The family that lost a son, but is one of what was I can't remember. Probably a single digit amount of families that are in limited communication with each other via. They set bonfires at night to kind of...
Yeah, the Beacon of Gondor.
Yeah. In this area that are left and lasted this long, decided to have another child because they were grieving over losing one. In this setting, knowing what it takes... I mean, the father's whole arc basically is trying to build a hearing aid so that his daughter can hear these things or hear the noises she's making to protect herself. And yet they bring this danger in. It's an immediate stumbling block, and I literally groaned in the theater when I was like, because I thought what it was going to be, which would have been smarter, is She was pregnant when this started.
which would have been great.
Yes.
Because then you have to, it's just, okay, I'm in a bad situation. I need to figure it out.
Yes.
What
But
do we
then
do?
immediately when you realize, no, this is all a choice they made, you really think you deserve a little bit of what's coming to you at this point.
Yeah, this isn't Children of Men. This is not that kind of apocalypse. It's only been a year. Give it some fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
If you get to a position where, all right, it's been a couple of years and it's clear that humanity is never going to quite recover and we want to do this anyway, just the hell with it. But no, they lose a kid right in the opening, like pre-credits.
Yes.
And decide, based on the number of days that it says they've been here, immediately after to try to have a kid to try to make up for it.
Yeah. That really annoyed me, considering how well thought out everything about their compound or their plan is.
Oh well.
But
and again, here's us nitpicking. At the end of the day, though, it was a very tense movie, a very well put together movie.
Yeah, what you're presented is great. It's worth watching. Granted, like I said, I'm not really well versed in horror or thrillers. I thought it was super entertaining to me.
What you said earlier, the comparisons that you made, I had brought up Tremors. You brought up
Signs. It's a better version of Signs.
It's everything that I could have. It's everything that I thought it was going to be. But because of a few logic holes, it doesn't transcend into something that's better than.
It's going to be one of those things that people like us that watch a lot of movies will occasionally reference in the future, but a lot of people are just going to forget about it. They're like, oh yeah, that movie where everything was quiet. That was a cool concept, and then that's the next topic of conversation type thing.
But at the end of the day, it was a horror movie that didn't rely on jump scares. It wasn't, as far as I know, a comic book adaptation or anything else.
And it carried a PG-13 rating while still being
generally
really violent.
Frightening.
Generally violent and frightening. And prove that you don't have to have a ton of gory violence to be a horror movie.
No, and it had a couple of nice character moments, too. Like when he brings his son out to the waterfall, just so that he can have a conversation with his son for probably the first time in a year, because that's going to drown out the sound.
Yeah, I think the other than the pregnancy bugaboo, I think the family was well characterized in that they rarely speak.
Yeah, they get it. They know what's going on. Basically, everything that's done has a payoff of some sort. On a structural level, it's everything that you'd really hope that it could be. It's some great scenes too, like running through the house with a shotgun, trying to find his wife while the son had set off fireworks in the distance. Yeah. That's one of the coolest scenes I've seen in a movie all year.
Briefly, we talked about this too. Was I like that they didn't go the action movie trope of two situations of peril happening simultaneously. Because spoilers. There's a part where after she has the baby, they have like a quiet room that they've built in the barn that they can keep the baby in for the most part while it's still like unable to do anything but cry, and it floods because they're in the middle of an attack when this happens, which is the big action point in the movie, and you're like, oh great, we're gonna be cutting between the kids being in peril in the corn silo, the father going to get them and trying to be as quiet as possible, and her trying to get the baby and not get caught by one while it's flooding. And no, they have the logical sense of no, the noise draws everything towards the noise. So you don't have this whole, you're getting inundated with too much action and too much peril, basically.
Yeah, so like we started with, I'd give it a solid B.
Yeah, at least. For me, because I'm not that well versed in these, I would say it's a B plus. It's something that I probably won't remember until somebody brings it up, but I thought it was competently done. I mean, yeah, there are plot holes, but that's the nature of doing trying to do a tightly narrated movie like this.
It's good enough that the next time we end up doing a conversation about horror movies, I'll probably end up bringing this one up as one of the bright spots.
Yes.
So,
a novel idea that's worth seeing.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's really all we've got on those two movies.
We're trying to see Isle of Dogs. It's just stuff keeps coming up work-wise
or a half an inch of ice in a couple of hours. Yeah, that's one of the ones that we want to see. Definitely, I'm not hyped, but I really want to see Avengers because I hope they finally end this decade of my life on a good note. You know what? No, fuck it. At this
point, I'm going for sure.
I'm going to see it. We'll probably end up seeing it together, but Thanos slash Snoke slash any other CG big villain character that I just don't give a shit about anymore.
Yeah.
Give me a superhero movie with some smaller but more personal stakes like Logan.
Yeah.
I don't care. I've already seen Ready Player One. I don't need to see another 70% CG video game fight scene. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I'm thinking this will be the tap out moment for me though. It's I think this will be good. I think it'll be good. I trust the Russos to put together a good movie. But again, is it Marvel good or is it like good? It's gonna be Marvel good because you have to have all the baggage of having seen everything else, just being acclimated to these. But I'm thinking this will be the point where you're gonna see a huge drop off at box office after people have seen this happen, and then here we're gonna try to bring in new characters.
Not happening. This is going to make another $1 billion.
Oh yeah. Hopefully it beats Black Panther, which is wholly undeserving of its total gross. I'm sorry, it's a good movie, but it's not that kind of a movie.
Like we said, go watch Annihilation instead. But, all right, probably going to end it there. I just want to give another shout out and a big thank you again to Brian over at Antagonizer 2000. I don't have my phone in front of me, so I need to look up all the exact information. But over on his Twitch channel, he's been giving shout outs to this channel. Tonight, this is Thursday the 19th, I think we're recording this. He just started playing Expedition Vikings, so thank you again, Brian. If you're into video games, definitely give his channel a look. I will put a link underneath our Facebook comments over to his channel as well. So thank you, Brian, and everyone else. I guess go see A Quiet Place, but I'd wait another week just to make sure that you've got a better crowd of fewer people.
Because, basically go in the middle of the week when you're one of the only people in there, and it'll probably be a better experience.
Because one asshole kid that's or just asshole person in general that's talking
or trying
or eating a whole. I always get popcorn. I did
skip
not.
Popcorn.
I fucking skipped.
I
popcorn.
sacrificed.
You should too.
You feel like
God damn it.
You feel like Norman Osborn in Spider-Man. You know how much I've sacrificed.
No, what's his name? Was it Clive Owen in the Bourne movie, the first one?
Yeah.
He was the other assassin. Look what they make us give.
Yeah. And then he was killed with a rolled up copy of Elle magazine.
No, the double barrel shotgun. The field. Look what they make us give. Do you get the headaches too?
Maybe that's a future episode because I have to rewatch all of the good Bourne movies, which are the first three, and that's it.
The only ones that exist in my mind. All right. We will talk to y'all soon. Thanks for listening.